Welcome back everyone to the channel. I'm your host Raving Geeks, and today we're going to be ranking every single Blue Lock manga cover in existence currently. Well, I say like most of them at least. If you guys aren't already aware, I already did this video like months ago on this channel, actually before my whole channel update development kind of thing. But it's been a while, and also some of my opinions have changed, and I've just been willing to, you know, get back into this sort of tier list kind of style of video. And doing the manga covers now, especially, because we have more manga covers to actually discuss, and also manga covers in which I didn't discuss. There may be one or two I'm missing out on, but this is going to be the majority of them. Okay, let's get started, shall we? We're gonna kick things off, of course, in chronological order of the normal manga covers, and then we'll transition over to the different kinds of manga covers and whatever. Alright, so Isagi. And I believe Isagi, for a first basic manga cover, he will get a mid-tier, as of course the presentation of this manga cover isn't as creative as it could be in comparison to future manga covers. But yes, we are comparing an Isagi that was made back then to where the manga was first starting to characters in which have been receiving manga covers now. And I know that's so much more different, but you got to understand this is the standard. Isagi was the standard back then, and back then may have been a pretty good manga cover, but now it's kind of eh. You really just look back on it as the first manga cover and you rate it basically off that, because Isagi has definitely got some better manga covers. Then we got Bachelor. Bachelor has two variants of the manga cover. I've just picked his better one, and I think this one is a A-tier. I believe he was done really solidly in the design department, because his old manga cover looked like a frog. This one actually looks pretty decent. Chigiri, I believe Chigiri actually works really well. His color incorporation and the way that he's stylized in this manga cover is actually pretty solid, which makes me believe that he deserves at least an A tier. He probably will be low A once everything's said and done. Kunigami, I don't think I can get behind this design. I feel like there's better depictions of Kunigami showing that sort of determination. I feel like this is kind of a bit ugly. I believe a wildcard Kunigami would actually benefit from a better manga cover, but we will not get that because, you know, mainline manga cover per character, and that's completely fair. I would love every character to be represented, but of course Kunigami has got the worst representation in terms of manga cover standard. Nagi, however, A tier. I believe that is a badass manga cover for a character in which is depicted as like a final boss of the first selection. He is the big bad threat. And then we also have Rin, who's on that similar scale. I believe that Nagi and Rin's manga covers are very relative to one another, so that leads me to believe and to say that they are very similar in terms of rankings. Burū, I believe it's kind of awkward to look at his manga cover, but it's not bad at all. I look at his proportions and it's just kind of like wacky, but I understand what they're going for, like kind of the charging ball aspect, as we all know, because he is a aggressive forward, and I believe he could probably benefit from an update to his manga cover, including the red stripes in his hair, or maybe just depict him as more of that a predator-like player. Rayo's one is actually pretty solid, and I feel like my opinion of Rayo has only gotten like better and better over time, because of how Rayo is represented in the recent anime and how Rayo is just being represented overall to me as from the community. Yes, the community does influence my opinion sometimes. I have grown to like this cover a bit more. I used to not like it, but over time, it's kind of just bothered me less and less the more I've looked at it. And of course, I may have some personal bias here because Rin and Bachelor and Isagi, I have signed manga covers from their English voice actors when I went to MCM Comic-Con in London. I may have some personal bias there, so actually I think I would rate Isagi's top of B. Tokimitsu, I'm going to say C. I don't think... I mean, okay, so this is the first manga cover where they're doing something with the background a bit, like kind of incorporating his aura, but I believe that it's because of how Tokimitsu kind of looks in terms of his face. I don't really like looking at it. Ego has a fucking fire manga cover, and there's a reason behind this. It's because of him being connected to pretty much everyone in the facility through his manga cover. So the symbolism is definitely there, but I think because of the designs of Nagi and Rin, that he goes below them, I can understand why Ego's manga cover would be an S tier, but I'm already giving it a lot of props for being that connection, like in the middle of all of the manga covers. And I can't wait for someone to make like that final collage of like all of the chains being connected to Ego, because I'm assuming that's going to be the direction that they're taking it. If not, I'll be kind of disappointed, but it's not like a deal breaker. Shido's one. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Shido's manga cover is a definite S tier. It's just really good. Stylized wise, you can see his wing aura, and it's a very dynamic pose. It's eye catching, especially. We have good color on it. Yeah. As much as Shido is what is deemed to be the most overrated character in the entirety of Blue Lock, he has an amazing manga cover, and he just gets a lot of love in terms of the stylization aspect of Blue Lock. Karasu has the representation here of his manga cover being portrayed kind of well. For that, I will put him in low A, because we know Karasu uses his hands to gauge distance between players, therefore it makes sense to why he's in this kind of pose. And then moving on to Atoya, I think Atoya is probably one of the manga covers that I don't like looking at, like in general, and I don't think it even looks good. Like, you could probably have a better depiction of what Atoya looks like when running than this. He just looks so awkward. Like, I don't know, the side profile of certain characters just don't look good, and when they do look good, then they of course get a higher ranking, like, you know, what Karasu is and what Reo is and what Bachelor is. But Yukibiya's manga cover, I love the orange. I love the inclusion of his football goggles because, well, that's what he wears when playing football. I would rate this a solid A tier. In middle of the road. He has really good colors to him, and I really appreciate that. Aiku's the first time where they experimented with multiple colors in the background, not including, of course, the black auras of Tokimitsu and Shido, and for that I would put in S tier, because Aiku also just looks really good in this manga cover. He has good design to him, very solid execution overall. Size. Of course, there's features in which were pointed out to me last time that I didn't actually point out within the actual tier list for my last manga cover video. But yes, I do acknowledge that size chains are like slightly broken, or always representing the fact that he's breaking out of his refinements of being a restricted player, which would explain the reason why every single character on here is not like top of the range. Ego is the one that controls all the chains in the middle. It makes sense. So that's why he has these centralized chains. And then we have someone like Amri who doesn't play football. So of course she doesn't have chains at all. She's just learning from Ego. But because she's not part of this Blue Lock facility and not part of like developing as a striker, she doesn't have these restrictions, she doesn't have these confinements. Sai is closer to that upper echelon of level, where he is actually breaking loose from some of the chains, and they aren't as tightly restricted onto him. So, and for that reason, it's a good representation of his character, and I also believe it is top of A. I believe it could get S, but I believe there's actually better representation with people trying to break out their chains, which we will get to in a second. Henri, good manga cover. This may just be an Henri bias, but I will put Henri like here. This is Henri bias, it's character bias. There's nothing really particularly special about Henri's manga cover besides the fact that she's on it and it looks good. So consider that. Now we're on to the second representation of characters kind of breaking loose or getting loose from their confinement. We have Kaiser. You can notice that the chains are fully intact. However, we can see, of course, through his chains, that, of course, the blue rose aspect is taking over, and we even have that blue rose tattoo design imprinted onto his chain itself, as if he is enveloping the chain and making it his own. It's sort of representing that restricted player aspect in which Kaiser so deeply represents now, ever since his going from 0 to now his current playstyle. I'd say Michael Kaiser just below Shido. There are really good manga covers here in which we'll contest with Shido, because I had Shido on top for the best manga cover last time, I'm pretty sure. If not, I had Kaiser. But either way, Kaiser has a really solid manga cover, and I believe it deserves an S tier. Then we have Ness. Of course, the representations of roses around his chains are done really well because it represents that sort of lackey of Kaiser, therefore he gets that sort of treatment in his design. Yeah, I definitely have grown more towards this cover. I'm going to rate it below Yukimiya. Kurina, as much as I love Kurina, this is kind of a basic manga cover. Not really much to him. Below Isagi it be. I'm having the Isagi bias because I have a signed English voice actor manga cover of this manga. So Gagamaru, this is impactful because like the diving header from like the first selection, or he could be diving to save a ball because he's a goalkeeper. I like Gagamaru's cover. I believe it deserves a low A tier. Raichi, I like this. This does show off his personality a bit, but of course it's not really anything too special, so I'll put it in B. Fiore is literally holding the ball chain, which kind of gives off that impression of him being sort of restricted to the sport that he has to play in order to keep his family together. Of course, this was before his old revelation, so he's quite literally restricted by football itself, which I do appreciate that being explored more, and for that reason I'm going to put it behind Ego. Nico's doing that classic pose of I can see you, I'm the watchtower sort of shit, and that's pretty good. I do like this pose, it stands out. Of course, like he would benefit from a better color, and of course I feel like his eyes are like much less saturated in comparison to what they actually are, so I put him at bottom of A tier. Don Lorenzo, another character in which is representing that sort of getting out, breaking free of the chain kind of thing, and also like representing his gold teeth as well, because you could see visible bite marks around his neck collar chain, and it just seems like the level of which we are getting closer to that pro level status, or the higher level of status of like a Noel Noah, Lavinia, Mark Snuffy. You're seeing characters visually breaking free of their confinement, and Don Lorenzo is an example of that alongside Kaiser and Sai. And over time, definitely liked Lorenzo much more as a character, therefore I very much enjoyed looking at his manga cover much more as well. We have Sendo next, and I believe that Sendo in this depiction is hot. He is a attractive looking character in this, and I will proudly admit that. And also, I just really like any character which is gripping their chain as if they are trying to take some semblance of control in their own way, in like a forceful or like controlling manner, whilst other characters just let it free flow because they feel like they're in control that way by letting it maneuver however they want. I like Sendo's design here. I will put him above Karasu. Kiora, I'm not sure if this was the point that we got to last time, or it was either Kiora or Nanase, but Kiora has a good manga cover. It's not really like anything too special, but I really like the design of Kiora in this, and for that I'll put him above Ness. Nanase, dynamic pose. Me and Era also recently interviewed the English voice actor of Nanase, and so for that it gets a personal bias and allows me to rank him just below Bachara. Zantetsu, like, as much as I appreciate him finally getting a manga cover after all this time, this is kind of boring. And I mean boring in that way. He's a B tier boring. Yes, he's running, it's representing him. But like, you don't see Chigiri running yet. I feel like this pose is actually doing him quite well. But like, I don't know, it's just basic. To be fair, his chain design is different. It's different enough, but I don't even think that changes much for me. I'll just put him right there. Of course, since chapter 30, we've been getting different chain designs, and one of the most notable chain designs, of course, is Charles. Charles has like little devil, I don't even know how to describe them. It's like devil emojis, devil emoji chains. And I also like this color in comparison to the brown shit stain color corners. And I'm not sure which one is the official one, but I'm judging it off this one, and this one looks really good. My ranking won't change much even if it was like brown corners, but I think that Charles deserves a S tier. That chain design and that pose definitely representing his characters super well. And finally, in terms of official manga covers, we recently got this, which is why it doesn't look like too official. It's a preview. We got Igaguri. We finally got Igaguri's manga cover, and guess what? It's actually sick. The color is literal shit, but I love the design of his beads for his chain. It's super good, super well done, as much as his manga cover color is quite literally poo. I don't think that's going to change my opinion that this is probably one of the better manga covers, and I believe I'm going to rank it right there. The color is weighing it down. We're moving on to the other series. We have the episode Nagi manga. I say upper series when there's just one, but whatever. Nagi's basically taking the cake of like the most manga covers for a character, because fuck me, he has a lot of manga covers. And I would say that the first Reo and Nagi one I would put above Yukimiya. The Zantetsu and Nagi, I believe this is the better of the Zantetsu manga covers, even though his jawline, he just looks so bold in the facial area. I will put this one above Gagamaru. Isagi and Nagi one. Nagi's once again just kind of using Isagi's height in order to rest his arms, as he casually does, like when holding his head and whatever, you know, being a lazy son of a bitch. I will put this one just above Reo and Nagi, because I like the depiction of course, the team up of Nagi and Isagi. Those are two of my favorite characters teaming up to make one of my favorite chemical reaction duos of the entire series. Rin and Nagi's manga cover are something in which I don't really look back on, but it looks pretty good, and it definitely deserves to be like higher. I will put it above Ness. Now, this one, Nagi and Chigiri, S tier, definitely. I love the colors. I love the blue and pink, because right now it's all been like, all been very samey. We have the sort of different color, bluish, greenish, teal for Rin. We don't have a purple representation for the first manga cover of this, and Zantetsu doesn't really have a color besides like grey, so they just kind of made it what seems to be like a lavender kind of color, and then of course Isagi's a bit green, but this is visually striking. Pink and blue work really well, and of course, like, to complement that even further, we have Burū and Nagi, and I believe Chigiri and Nagi are the best manga cover. Burū and Nagi have of course the interest in which of their rivalry, and of course how much they are pretty much at each other's throats in terms of how they disagree with each other, being represented in the 6th manga cover for the episode Nagi manga. And I can't wait to see the 7th one, if we will ever get one. I'm hoping for one with Kyora or Yukimiya sharing the spotlight with Nagi on the covers. Now we move on to some of the more exclusive stuff. Of course, I'm not sure like the technical terms for these three, so I will just go about and rank them as I do normally. I believe this one is there. I believe that one's there. This next one, I do like the representation of all the little chibi characters, and then Isagi in the middle, right there. And finally, we have Nagi, Rin, and Isagi, and of course the representation of this is, I'm pretty sure, from the U20 match, but those are the three main guys, in my opinion, and for that reason, I will put the representation of these three just above the episode Nagi, the episode Nagi, and Rin manga cover. Now we move on to the collab manga covers for BLUELOCK X Liverpool. Now, I actually have these 5 manga covers in my possession, and they're really sick. They're really sick. And this is personal bias, but of course, I really like the red colors, and I believe like Isagi straying away from like a greenish color is always a benefit for everyone, because then we can't say he stinks. I will rate this there. Bachelor doesn't look as good in red, because like he is mainly a yellow guy, and so like the white matching with yellow is kind of like off-putting in a way, so I'm going to rank this just below his manga cover. He still looks good, just not as good. Chigiri works really well with this color scheme, and I believe that will be an S tier. Konagami is better, but not by much. I'm going to put this as a B tier, just behind Isagi's manga cover. Nagi, I also rate this an S tier. I mean, he is my favorite character in the BLUELOCK series, and just making him wear the football kit in which the football kit of the team in which I support is only just adding to that. And then finally, we have an exclusive, I'm pretty sure it's French manga cover. I could be completely wrong. Sorry guys if I am wrong, but this is an exclusive limited edition manga cover of Isagi in Metavision. So Isagi got a better design in comparison to this one, and of course the gold background. And of course his aura color is not gold. It's not gold by any means, but this is a significant step up from his previous manga cover, and is also really cool, and I want it myself. And that's why I'm going to rate it at top of S tier. I believe it's honestly one of the best manga covers that have been released to date. I'm not sure if that's like official artwork done by the people that made the manga, or this was like fan art in which was reached out towards in order to get this done. But like either way, this is a sick manga cover, and it's one that I will definitely be looking for in the near future. And that was all of the manga covers. Of course, I may have missed a few little ones, but this is basically the majority of them that have currently been released to us and that we currently know of. So, of course, let me know what you guys think of this list. Let me know your opinions and thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and of course, if you did enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe. Anyway, I'll catch you all next time. Peace.